Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fulfillionaires File, where we bring you powerful conversations with individuals who are not only successful but deeply fulfilled in life, love, and, of course, purpose. And I am Victoria Ferrer, your host, a personal power and global presence coach, helping individuals step into their authentic voice and influence. And I'm also a financial educator, guiding families and individuals to build secure, empowered financial futures. Because true fulfillment is not just about wealth, it's about alignment in your relationships, your identity, and your life. And today, we're diving into one of the most meaningful areas of human experience: love and relationships. Our guest today is someone who has dedicated over 30 years to understanding one powerful question: why do relationships that start with so much joy sometimes fall apart? After experiencing a failed marriage early in life, he didn't just move on. He leaned in. He searched for answers, studied patterns, and ultimately created a transformational approach to love. He's the creator of Romance by Choice, a unique coaching program and audiobook that bridges the gap between thinking about love and actually creating it intentionally. Please join me in welcoming Bill Scalzitti. Bill, it's an honor to have you here.
Thank you, Victoria. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you. Bill, let's begin with your story. You experienced heartbreak early on in your marriage. Can you take us back to that moment and how it shaped your lifelong mission?
Sure. I mean, let's say I got married at a very young age, and when the marriage failed, I asked myself, how does something that starts out so joyously crash and burn in the rubble of heartbreak and disaster? I was living in New York City at the time. I had access to lots of single people, and
Mhm.
it started as a hobby. I just started talking to single people about their dating life. How'd you meet the person you date? Why did it end? What happened? How did you get married? How'd you meet your spouse? Why did it end? All these stories. And after a while of working with single people and talking with groups and stuff like this, I realized that, wow, single people have no clue what they're doing out there. It's like playing Russian roulette. And I realized there was a way to help people. And I decided I was going to find some answers to these questions. And I started doing group programs and interviewing people in different
Mhm.
organizations and throughout the city, work with dating services and things of this type, singles organizations, and interviewed tons and tons of people and asked them all the same basic questions. And eventually I realized that, okay, we need to put something together to help people screen the people they get involved with. Because everything that's been put in our heads about men and women and dating and marriage has just been put there by friends, family, relatives, television, magazines, movies, the street. And we just go up believing this
Mhm.
is what men do, this is what women do, and
Yes.
this is what marriage is. And we hear all the stories about arguing and fighting and things that go wrong. And you're supposed to just stay with it and go with it and all that stuff. And
Amazing.
that's not the way it needs to be.
Wow. All that research. And what was a turning point where pain became purpose for you?
Well, when I realized there was an opportunity to help people, and I said, wow, you know, I was just as much a part of everything that I learned as other people were. I made
Yeah.
all these crazy mistakes. I was doing all the wrong things
Yeah.
and thinking it was the right way to do it.
So true, so true. Many people actually silently struggle with loneliness or even desperation when it comes to love. I know a lot of people, and sometimes they're even in denial.
Mhm.
From your experience, what is really happening emotionally and psychologically when someone feels desperate for a relationship?
Well, people feel desperate when they don't feel like everybody else. Their friends are all in relationships, they're married, they're happy, and somebody is not.
Yeah.
And they feel ashamed and they want something so bad that they make very bad choices. And this happens over and over again.
Yeah.
And again, it's nobody's fault. We just don't know what we don't know.
Right. Right. That's one. Can you share a real story? Someone who came to you feeling hopeless and what shifted for them?
Okay, I got a story here for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I had met this woman who was a successful businesswoman. She had her own business, successful. She had three children. One of them was a special needs child.
Okay.
And when I met her, she was very upset that she could not find a sustaining relationship.
Mm-hmm.
She said, I have no trouble meeting men, but then they all wind up ghosting me. When I asked why, she had mentioned, well, I told you I have a child with special needs. And when they
Yeah.
hear that, they
Mm.
run away.
Yeah.
And, I write their dating profiles for them for their online dating sites.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, something that I always ask my clients, I always ask them, what are your lemons? And they look at me like, what? What do you mean, what are my lemons? I said, what's wrong with you?
Right.
What's been killing your relationships? Because we all have things, whether it could be a health problem, it could be a
Mm.
job problem, it could be a number of things, family problems, whatever. And we all tend to want to hide those things, as this woman was doing. So when I wrote her dating profile, I started off by saying I'm a single mom of three elementary school age children, one of
Mm-hmm.
which is special needs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I showed that to her, her first reaction was she got very upset.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, why would you put that in there? And I said, well, here's the reason. You've told me you have no trouble meeting men, but then they ghost you
Yeah.
because you have a special needs child. So why don't we put it right up there?
Right.
Let them not respond. This way you don't get any heartbreak. You
Correct.
don't feel like you're being pushed over. And when someone does respond, guess what? They're obviously not upset or afraid of someone with a special needs child.
Mm-hmm.
So after I calmed her down and she agreed, okay, let's try it.
Yeah.
Several months later, she contacted me to tell me that she actually had met someone
Whoa.
who was very nice, very wonderful, and that having a special needs child was not an issue for him, nor was having three children that were elementary school age.
Wow.
And after a while, I got an email from her telling me that they were planning a marriage. They were getting married.
Oh, wow.
And that's part of the whole thing. As single people, unfortunately, we always try to cover up or
Mm-hmm.
hide the things that destroy relationships. And part of what we do in our program is we identify the things that we do things about, qualities, traits, personalities, habits, hobbies, interests, things that they will accept and will not accept in a person. And the same thing with them. And we create an imperative list, an important list, and a deal breaker list.
Yeah.
And things that are on the deal breaker list are things that the minute they show up, you're done.
Yeah.
But what happens in most cases is someone says, oh, yeah, well, something happens and now they're upset. But there's so many nice things about that person. Yeah, maybe I can tolerate this, or I can change them, or I can fix this. No. When those things show up, you leave.
Right.
And I teach people how to date so they can find out a lot of these things before they get emotionally hooked on a person.
Mm-hmm. Well, I like that. Wow.
Because that's what tends to happen to us. Boy meets girl. The first thing is they like the way the people look. They're having fun. They're enjoying each other's company. Their brains are now off. Their endorphins are flying. And they're having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And this can go on for a couple of months, maybe 3, maybe 6. And then the real people show up.
Yeah.
And when the real people show up, all of a sudden it's a big shock. Oh my God. But now you're invested already with the person.
Yeah.
Now it becomes much harder to end it.
Wow.
That's why we call it romance by choice.
Mm-hmm.
Because people have a choice when they realize that they do. And therefore they know how to go about finding it. Sometimes people say, well, aren't you being, a little too harsh or a little, I said, no, you're talking about love. You're talking about your heart. You're talking about your emotions. How many times have you had them broken? And some people, many, many times. I said, well, this is how you avoid it. Because now you're able to go into a relationship and give it all you got.
Right. Wow. That transformation from desperation to clarity is something many of our listeners need to hear today. Your program is called Romance by Choice, which you had mentioned. It's a powerful phrase. Most people think love just happens. What does it mean to actually choose romance?
Well, you see, love does just happen.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that if it happens when you know what's going to make you happy, then it's good. When love starts to happen, which is just like the story I just explained,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
people are so enamored with each other just because of the fun they're having and the other things that are going on, the sex and these other things, that they hide their real selves. See, one of the things that single people, and it's all part of the way we were never taught anything about relationships growing up. So everything that's stuffed in our heads has been put there by friends, family, relatives, television, magazines, movies. And we grow up thinking this is what men do, this is what women do. And this is how we react to everything. And we don't realize that, we have opportunity here. We're all taught the Hollywood image. If we don't look like the Hollywood image, there's something wrong with us. Most single people, the first thing I notice with working with them is that they don't love and respect themselves enough to believe they're worthy of love.
Right.
Secondly, they don't know who they are. And if you don't know who you are, no one else will.
Definitely.
And this is because of the pressure from what we think society puts on us, the Hollywood image, all this stuff. So when we don't think we're the Hollywood image, we'll settle for anything that comes by. And that's how we wind up in a lot of bad relationships. is
Mm-hmm.
because we just don't get, that sense of belonging.
Right, right.
And, this is part of the whole relationship issue. So that's why we need to have time to know who we are. So the first part of our program is all about you,
Mm-hmm.
getting you in touch with you, who you are, how you choose to live the rest of your life, and who do you choose to live it with. And then it's the attitude people have. When you ask a single person about dating, most of the time they get a response like, there's no good people out there to date.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah, sometimes I
everybody's
hear
a
that.
jerk. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I tell them, if you keep putting that out, that's all you're going to meet. And what you put out in the universe is what you get back.
Right. I totally
So,
agree.
so much of the program is about the attitude you have, how you view yourself, how you view the world, what you put out there every day. So
Mm-hmm.
we work a lot on attitude. I use things like feng shui, conscious language, science
Mm-hmm.
of deliberate creation,
Mm-hmm.
all of these different types of tools to reprogram the thinking. So this way that they start the world better. People have to look at themselves in the mirror and say, I love you to yourself.
Yes.
You've got to love yourself. You've got to be pleased with yourself. Because when you know who you are and you know what you are, then you can go out there in the world and there are people who will be looking for you. I give my clients a lot of homework,
Mm-hmm.
things they have to do. Sometimes that's not always easy for them, but because a lot of times people that are single don't want to do things on their own. I'll ask my clients at some point to go out to a restaurant by themselves, get a table in the middle of the room, all dolled up, all dressed up,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and sit there and order dinner just to see if anybody pays them attention. Because there may be another single person in that place who might say to you, would you like company?
Mm-hmm.
Things to get them out there, but I send them to shopping malls to just walk through the malls all dressed
Yeah.
up, pumped up, looking good. Because this is the kind of stuff most people walk around looking like sad sacks. So no one's going to see you or appreciate you if you're looking that way.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah. So I mean, it's all part of it. It's all part of it. That's why I have the musical albums. I have an album to help people just prepare for
Mm.
love. Songs that everybody's heard. I just bought the rights to them and re-recorded them. But
Wow.
there's songs that get your head in the right place about falling in love.
Right.
Then there's an album which is all about the attitude, songs that are made to pump you up. And I want my clients to learn the words, learn the music. And I tell them this may not be the genre of music you really like. Just listen to it
Mm.
and get into it because the result is going to help you get to where you need to go. And
It,
then there are two
yeah.
albums for a man to give a woman and two albums
Mm.
for a woman to give a man that express the feelings of love. And most
Wow.
people say, I never realized love could feel that way.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So these are all things to get the mind in the right place.
Yeah, it's
It is
conditioning the
work,
mind. Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, I tell my clients, there's work. This is not quick as a cheeseburger.
No,
There's
definitely.
work to be done, but it's the best work you'll ever do.
That's amazing. Let's talk about success. Can you share one of your most inspiring stories? Someone who truly created the relationship they once thought was impossible.
Well, here's a story for you.
Mm-hmm.
There's this gentleman I was working with. He was 72 years old, and he was in good shape physically, mentally. And when I met him, and we started talking about his dating life and what he was doing, he had this thing. about only wanting to date women in their 40s.
Mm.
I remember the conversation with him. And I said, but why do you want women in their 40s?
40s. Yeah.
Of course, for the normal reasons that men want younger women.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to him, I said, you realize you're dating your daughter. I said, and what do you have in common with these people? I said, for a happy relationship, you should be with a woman in her middle 60s. He said, oh, women in their 60s are all wrinkled. And I said, oh, what are you? I said, let's get real. I said, you have nothing in common. You grew up in different generations than younger women. You need someone who's been in your world, who grew up in the same generation that you did. I said, and you haven't looked at women in their 60s these days. You're still thinking about your grandma in the 1960s and 70s who was in the kitchen somewhere in a house dress. I said, women in their 60s today are incredible. They're beautiful. They're dynamic. I said, this is what you need. Well, this took quite a while to get through to him. And I remember he even told me a story that he said, I did meet this woman and she was in her 60s and we went out to dinner. And he said, it was amazing. We were having a very nice conversation. And he said, I had my hand on the table and she put her hand on top of mine. And I looked and I saw her hand was wrinkled and I pulled my hand away.
Oh my
He
God.
said, she got up and walked out of the restaurant. I said, thank God she did that because that's a lesson you needed to learn.
She doesn't deserve him.
That's right. And, you know, but the end of the story, without boring you with the rest of the details about this,
Yeah, yeah.
he did meet a woman who was about 62 or 63 years of age.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me, he said, wow, I met this person. I've never met anybody like this woman. She's beautiful. She's educated. She's talented. He said, we've been dating for a while now. And he says, I would never have met her if it wasn't for you, for
Wow.
the way you kicked me around. He said, but he was so happy. And then he keeps in touch. And he did send me a thing where they actually got married.
Oh,
They got married. I guess now they've been married about 3 or 4 years now.
wow.
And he calls me
And
every once in a while just to tell me how happy he is.
wow. Just a quick question, Bill. Was her hands wrinkled?
The truth of the matter is, I don't know because I had never met
But
her.
probably
But
he didn't, it didn't
but he
matter to
sent me a
him.
picture of her. I mean, she
Yeah.
looked beautiful.
Oh, that's
But but
nice.
these are the stereotypes and the things we have in our heads,
Yes,
and the way,
yes,
like, as I say, the way men are. Older men always think they want younger, sexy women.
yeah.
They have nothing in common with them.
So I'm sure all
And
these people who are, watching us right now, this is a food for thought for all of you because Bill is giving us real life stories of how you have all these kinds of expectations and why. And then, our minds believe in that, and then we don't really get to find the right person for us. From your decades of experience, Bill, what are the most common patterns that sabotage relationships?
well, as I said earlier, people who don't love and respect themselves.
Yeah,
They don't think they're worthy, and therefore they just settle and let people walk all over them.
yeah,
And when,
that's
as I
so.
said, when you know who you are, how you choose to live the rest of your life and things, I mean, it's just, it sounds very logical, but in reality, it's not.
Yeah.
People they're just too desperate because too much societal pressure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You have friends and relatives who are married and everything. Comes a holiday dinner, you don't want to be by yourself. Comes Valentine's Day, the holidays at the end of the year, you know. Um, and these are times when people really get themselves, they don't want to travel by themselves.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that go on, and
It's
it's
sad.
something that I always wish that
Sad.
they would teach relationships in public education when we were kids,
Right.
so
I
that we
agree.
know how to deal with all this stuff instead of just going what we see in the movies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You talk about discovering a whole new you. How important is personal growth in attracting the right partner, and what inner work must people be willing to do?
Well, as I said, they first off, when they learn to love and respect themselves and take care of themselves. I mean, how many times have we seen where we might go to a grocery store on a Saturday morning and we'll see people in there in their pajamas
Yeah, yeah.
walking through the store. They
Mm-hmm.
look disheveled. They just rolled out of bed and went to the store. I mean, I'm very much a believer in we shouldn't leave our house unless we are totally presentable.
Yeah,
Now, you know, if your whole life is living in pajamas, well then that's what you should do. But
yeah.
you know, when we go to work or when we go out on a date, we get ourselves all fancied up. But when we're just going to the store, we're going shopping, we're hanging out, most of the times, men and women both
Right.
dressed very, I don't know, say slovenly or whatever, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know, women don't put makeup on, they don't do their hair, men don't shave, they don't clean up, and you wonder why it's hard to meet people.
Yeah, yeah.
I always
That's
ask my clients to please make sure when you leave your house, you're looking the best you can be
I
because you
totally
never know
agree.
who's out there,
Right.
you know?
Bill, my mom, right? I grew up seeing her at 5:30 in the morning, and at that time there were rollers, and she takes a bath, wears nice clothes, put on her makeup, and makes her hair. 5:30 in the morning. She said, Victoria, people come and see you, and if they see you disheveled, you haven't taken a bath and you haven't washed your face. What kind? Because she was the wife of the minister at that time. My dad was the minister. And so and I learned from that. And I feel good. It's not only because I want other people to see me looking good. I want to see myself looking good.
Exactly.
Right? And so ultimately, the relationship we attract reflects the relationship we have with ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bill, for someone listening right now who feels tired, discouraged, or even ready to give up on love, what would you say to them?
Today is the first day of the rest of your life.
I
How
love
you
that.
choose to live it is up to you. You have the choice.
Romance by choice.
There you go. That's one. You can
Bill,
have romance by choice, or you can have whatever you want by choice, as long as you choose it. And
right,
it's something that I mean, I've met people who tell me they don't want a relationship. They're happy being single, and they honestly mean it. I said, great. If you're happy being single, honestly to yourself, then that's fine. That's what you choose. It's your choice. But if you're single and unhappy because you're single and don't want to be single, then you have a choice.
true.
Get out there and do the work.
Right,
Learn what you don't know.
right. And contact Bill. Bill, for anyone who wants to contact you directly, how do they get in touch with you?
Best way to do is go to romancebychoice.com. All my contact information is there.
Perfect. Thanks. Yeah. So to the audience out there, don't lose hope because Bill is there to coach you and to guide you on finding the not necessarily the best person, but the right person. the right partner for you. Bill, thank you for sharing your wisdom, your stories, and your heart with us today. And to our listeners, love is not something you wait for, it's something you can understand, design, and choose. If today's conversation resonated with you, I encourage you to explore Bill's Romance by Choice program and audiobook. It will be really something that would change your life forever. And if you're looking into your personal power, elevate your presence, or build a secure financial future, I'm here to support you on that journey. This is Victoria Ferrer, and this has been Fulfillionaire's File, where fulfillment is not just a dream, it's a decision. Bill, thank you so much again. And I'm sure people out there would love to get in touch with you because they're hiding this secret. Within them, they need a partner, but they don't know how to start it. And you're there to be able to guide them. Thank you again, and
Thank you.
see you all until the next time. Bye, everyone.